Hello, my friend porch art friends, and welcome to our watercolor lesson on splatter balls. This is a fun watercolor project, and we're going to have fun splattering some watercolor paint. But first, let's take a look at the different balls that came in your kit. You have a volleyball, a basketball, a baseball, and a soccer ball. Go ahead and pick which one you'd like to start with. And we'll do one today, and then when you have time other days, you can do different ones. No need to rush them and do all four at once. So these are some I've already done. I decided to use some red paint and splatter with some black on my baseball. And then most basketballs are orange, so I went ahead and colored orange on here. And I used blue and orange to splatter. And then on my volleyball, I went ahead and used all the different colors I like. There's some purples, some blues, some greens, even some pink. And then I splattered with those different colors. Okay, so I'm going to today do the soccer ball. And this is watercolor paper, so it can get wet, but you don't want to put too much water on it. So let me show you what I mean. So go ahead and get your brush out of your watercolor paint set. And make sure you have a little bowl of water. And work on a surface you can get wet. And let's go ahead and get started if you have all those things. So first get your watercolor brush a little bit wet. And then go ahead and gently kind of put water on the soccer ball. You could do one shape at a time if you'd like to. And then decide what colors you would like to use. I mean, soccer balls are generally black and white, but you can do whatever color you want. This is your soccer ball. So I think I'm going to go with some blue. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the one I've already wet. And it'll look something like that. Now, if I don't wet the ball first and I just go ahead and grab my paint, you'll see it's a lot darker. So we've talked about watercolor paints and that when you add water first and then add the paint, it gives you a lighter color. And if you just go ahead and get the paint and don't put water first, you get a darker color. So maybe you want to do lights and dark blues. Maybe you want to try using some water and then less water to see what kind of effects you get. So maybe that's what I'll do. So on the next one, I'll go ahead and wash my brush, and I always like to have a paper towel nearby so that I can dry my brush off between colors. That kind of helps them not get muddy looking. So you want to wash it and then dry it off a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, I think, some red. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in the middle. And I didn't wet the ball first, so I'm just going with what I get out of the paint palette. I kind of like that, the blue and red together. So now I think I'll put a little water down first, excuse me, and see how that looks. So I'm putting a little water, and then I'll go get my paint. Maybe I'll add a little more water, make it a little bit lighter. Now, if you want, you could make a pattern too. Maybe you do blue, red, red, blue, blue, up to you. I'm gonna add some water on this one and put my blue down again. Oh, I got a lot of paint that time, so it's a little bit dark. So the nice thing about watercolor is if you think it's too dark, you can just go in and add a little more water and it lightens it up. I kind of like that with a little bit of dark and light. It gives what's called dimension. Makes it look less flat as a ball. I think I'm gonna do that over here. But I'm gonna do red again, but maybe I'll try to do that same thing. I'll try to get a little bit dark, put most of my paint on the side. And then I'll add a little more water and lighten it up and kind of drag the paint over. like that. You can go ahead and just have fun kind of practicing. You have 4 balls to paint, so plenty of time to practice. So that's the inside. I have sort of a pattern. I have 3 reds and 3 blues. So I think on the outside of my soccer ball, maybe I'll go with a different color. Maybe I'll use some green. This is going to be a colorful soccer ball. Some green. It's a pretty green too. And I'll go all the way around with my green. Again, notice I'm just kind of working in small areas. I'm not painting the whole thing at once. This is kind of an easy project to practice, just working in a small area at a time because there's lines drawn for you on the balls. And then I'm gonna, if you go outside the line, no worries because we're gonna make a mess anyway when we splatter. As a matter of fact, some people purposely go outside the lines. That's what's fun about art. Can use the lines or not use the lines, up to you. I really like this soccer ball. It's very colorful. Okay, so that's mine, and I'm gonna put that down. And it's ideal, but you don't have to let this dry a little bit. Maybe we can just kind of wave it before you add the splatter. Because when you splatter with watercolor paint, it obviously is gonna hit the whole thing. And if these aren't dry, they'll definitely change the color of your ball, which is okay if that's what you're looking for. But I like to dry it off a little bit. You could wave it like this. If you didn't put too much water on, it'll dry pretty quick. Otherwise, you might have to come back later and do the splatter part. Okay, now the splatter part is fun. You're gonna take your brush, you're gonna really load it up with water. So get some water in there. First, decide what color you're gonna splatter with. I think I'm gonna use the red. So I'm gonna get my paintbrush, load it up with water, and then I'm also gonna get it loaded up with paint. You kind of wanna wet this whole little palette. If you were only working in a small area, go ahead and wet the whole thing with water. Just get almost like a little bit of water sitting on top there. That way you know your brush has a lot of paint and water on it. Okay, and then you might want to practice first. I have a little piece of scrap paper here I'm going to practice on. But you're going to take your brush, almost like a magic trick. You're going to hold it like this, turn it over like you're abracadabra, and then you're going to tap on it. Just like that. Tap on the brush. And then you're going to get this nice splatter effect. Don't hold it back and throw it down, because then the paint kind of goes everywhere and it might not get on your artwork where you want it. So again, I'm going to show you that again. I'm going to get water. Make sure your brush is good and wet. Get your paint palette. Fill it up with that paint. And then abracadabra, tap on the brush. Move the brush around so the splatter's not all in the same spot. There you go. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, now I'm gonna add it to my soccer ball. Now, again, make sure you're on an area. You can put any scrap papers down or something that it's okay, because some of the splatter is gonna go other places. That's just a given. Okay, so here I go again, grabbing some more water and paint. Hold it over my ball, abracadabra. I'm gonna tap on my brush and make sure to move your brush around. Move it around the paper, tapping all along. Wow, look at that. I just think it adds such an element of fun, and the color's pretty. And I actually think I'm just gonna do one splatter. I like it like that. Don't overdo your splatters, and you just kind of make it a big mess. But we just wanna do 1 or 2 colors, or 3. Maybe you do all 3, 1 blue, 1 red, 1 green. But if you wanna do more splatters, just do them on a piece of scrap paper for fun. But just do a couple on your artwork. I think I'm gonna just do 1 though. And then I'm going to let that dry. right? We gotta let it all dry, it doesn't take long. And then once it's dry and I've cleaned up my work area, it's always good to do, wash your brush out, dry it. Your project came with some nice black cardstock, which you can take when they're dry, your artwork, and you pick your 3 favorite ones out. And with the glue dots that came in, go ahead and mount them on here. And then you have a fun little sports splatter ball collage that looks really cool. And you can hang it up in your room. And now you know how to splatter, and you can have fun with that with other projects too. Thanks for joining us, and we'd love for you to send us a picture of your splatter balls at Front Porch Art Kits on Instagram, or you can also reach us at Facebook. Thanks for joining us, guys.